All right. Hello, everybody. It's me, Dr. Cortez. I hope everybody's doing well. I know it's been a little crazy the last few weeks. So my lip is doing a whole lot better. It's been that's just I feel like it was like a scene from there's something about Mary, right? Like something like that. Old school movie. I don't know if you know it. But anyway, yeah. It took me a while to send out the message because it was a lot of things that I wanted to put together. So I had to put some time into it, right? So that's the reason why I couldn't do it last week. Last week was a full week. Tuesday, we're showing my friend from Colombia around downtown, right? We had class. I got the lip infection. On Wednesday, I had a presentation with the College Advisors Core, in which Celia Chavez, Cohort 6, invited me to speak to. I was a group of folks from across the nation. They were at the Marriott Courtyard Hotel in downtown, and they asked me to do a presentation, a workshop on self-care, collective care, and effective communication. And I actually got paid $1,000 for that, right? Which is pretty dope because that's the money we spent for this weekend celebrating my baby's birthday, which is today, right? My wife's birthday, Saturday. So yeah, I've been running around. That was Wednesday, Thursday. We had the board of trustees meeting in which we had a protest, right, of presence from our union representing. Also had a public commentary that I shared with the with the board and the public. It was pretty powerful. Not my comment, but just in terms of the presence and unfortunately, we may have to strike. I hope that's not the case, but we definitely need to show our presence, right? And then Friday was the Enlace conference, which I was there promoting Enlace. We had a session at 2:10, talking about the book. And then Saturday, Sunday, I just, me and my wife kicked it on, downtown Chicago. I tuned everything out, had to get my break, right? And so I was back at it yesterday, back at it here today. And let me go over the four pieces that I sent you yesterday, right? Let me share the screen. Here's the email that I sent you, right? The first item is the PD in the appendix format, which I copy and paste from the syllabus, right? At the end of your syllabus. Part 8 PD, I'm sorry, professional development proposal. Keep in mind that this is the bullet points, the sequence in which how I want you to frame, right? Format your PD proposal. Also keep in mind that the sample that I have available for you is formatted differently. So just please follow this one and look at the sample just to get an idea of how it's formatted, right? So just keep in mind there's different items that you're gonna list there. So here, the first one is provide a minimum of 2 skills, knowledge, goals, right, for the institution slash organization. So what is it that you want folks to know in general? Right? It could be like, for example, since I was working on undocumented students, it could be allied training, right? Workshops for, on how to support undocumented students, etc. Right? Having information available for undocumented students in terms of like scholarships and other opportunities where they can get support. So those are 2 examples, right? I'm sorry, one example in terms of the topic. Item number 2, provide a minimum of 2 goals for particular leadership roles. And because you're doing your research on higher ed, this can be anything, right? In terms of personnel from the institution or the community that you are framing. So it could be directors of office, for example, Danny's doing his work on LGBTQ. It could be folks from my understanding, Harold Washington College does not have an LGBTQ like program or service. It could be like a director of I can't even think, right? The director of like if there's anything for student affairs, student services, etc. Right. So that's just an example. It'll be programming, services, academic affairs, maybe even they have a multicultural space, etc. Right. So you identify those leadership roles on your campus or in your community, and then identify 2 goals that you would like to meet during this PD workshop, right? And explain the specific characteristics of the targeted audience in terms of who are you making this goal for, right? Again, it can be directors, certain programs, etc. Part 3, provide a minimum of one concrete suggestion for modification in institutional culture to help address concerns related to the research problem slash topic and results, right? So what in terms of institutional culture, right? And again, it could be anything, right? It could be certain events, it could be engaging with certain leadership or targeting certain student bodies, right? Freshmen, it could be targeting, for example, where I'm looking at Victor Munoz's work on Latino males, right? Maybe a special initiative, right? That's solely for Latino males. So those are just some examples in terms of some type of modification to address your topic, right? And again, we could talk about this one-on-one. Item number 4, provide a minimum of 3 activities the researcher, which is you, will facilitate to help address concerns related to the research problem slash topic and results. So it could be a presentation, it could be you presenting your work, it could be a visitor that you invite, right? And remember, you're just designing the professional development workshop, so you're not required to actually do it for this class, but I do highly hope that you actually do it for an audience, right? Let it be your workplace, let it be your students, let it be your peers, etc. Right? But it is not required for this class. But in terms of design, try to be as specific as possible, right? In terms of writing down this information. So the 3 activities could be anything: group exercise, if you want to do breathing, right? If you want to do some type of activity to challenge your audience, etc. A video, some type of demonstration, bringing in guest speakers. Be creative, right? But at the very least, you need to identify 3 certain type of activities that you will engage in for your workshop, PD workshop. Explain item number 5, explain the main idea for each activity and explain how they support the 2 main goals set forth in item number 1 above, right? A minimum of 3 sentences for each activity is required. So why 3 sentences? Because I want you to elaborate how this activity is going to be engaging, right? How are we going to, what is he going to do with your targeted audience, right? You don't necessarily have to repeat everything, right? In terms of the topic and results, just 3 activities that stay aligned to your topic, right? That makes sense. And more importantly, 3 activities that you feel can help fill the voids that you found in your research analysis, right? In terms of understanding, maybe some certain resources, right? And stuff like that. Just be creative, right? For item number 5. Item number 6, identify the assessment tool you will use to determine if your PD workshop has had a transformational impact at your institution slash organization. So this is a little tricky, right? But this is something I wanted to put in this project, because I think it's important to learn how to set the assessment parameters, right? Ahead of the game, in terms of like you already know ahead of time how you're going to assess it. There's any change that takes place, right? So this can be, you could do attendance in terms of interest that people come through, right? There's always a full attendance. You could look at academic performance. You could do a survey, maybe like 6 months later or a year later, to indicate if people have seen any changes, right, on the topic that you covered. So again, be creative and just follow through in terms of like how will you assess if any change or transformation has taken place due to your PD workshop. And then the last piece is identify when and how often you plan to assess the changes you have initiated. So it's just real simple. You can just say like at the end of every semester or at the end of every school year. But if your topic, for whatever reason, calls for another, I guess, timeline, feel free to include it there, right? There's no strict requirement that you have to do it at the end of the semester and the year. Your topic is unique, so you know best, right? In terms of when, how often it should be assessed, right? In terms of the changes. All right. Next item is I did send you another final paper sample. This is by Oscar Guillen, who was my student back in fall of 2018. Real cool cat, Southsider, Sox fan. Like he's dope. I really enjoy his energy. He's super feminine, right? He's got that feminine touch as a man. Real cool. I think he's an assistant principal now. I have him on Facebook and I follow up with him, and he's doing great things at his school. But what I like about his paper is just, first is he got an A, of course, right? But well written, well organized in terms of the concepts, right? What he's trying to say, the points he's making, but also the format is just boom, right? Like very sharp and clean, and his subheadings and all of that, right? So you see it as I'm scrolling through. I'm going to show you his how he formats his PD workshop. His results section is awesome too, right? Like in terms of the graphs, the quotes, right? And then he does his analysis at the end. Actually, I'm in the appendix. Sorry, I jumped a little bit too far here. But here, let's see, boom, boom, going back. These are the references, and here is his PD plan, which is on page 23 and on the final paper sample that I sent you. So here, right, and again, keep in mind that the format for the PD is different because you're K through 12 and you're a higher ed. But I want you to see how he lays it down, right? Name school, the year, topic, boom, boom, school goals. The school goals are a bit more broad and general, whereas the teacher goals, and in your case, it's personnel, director, programs, etc., are more specific, right? Suggestion for modification curriculum. In your case, it would be a modification in institutional culture, right? So the minimum is 3 sentences. He wrote a little paragraph right here. And then the activities, boom. Number 1, again, the requirement is 3 sentences at the very least. In his case, went a little bit more than that. 2, I'm sorry, the first one is teachers and staff will be supplied with the school's vision and mission statement, right? So it seems like they're going to read over it, maybe have a discussion. 2, the second activity, teachers and staff will be given a menu of PD workshops available for them to attend. I guess these workshops are based on teacher input, suggestion, and needs. So he wants to, I guess, co-create, right, the PDs that they're going to experience throughout the year. And then 3, teachers and staff will get an opportunity to sit by grade level teams and share what they learned in their session. So you can see that he developed a sequence, right, of how the targeted audience is going to engage. So he's facilitating the space and he's describing it, right, in his 3 different activities. So again, I'm giving you an open door, right, in terms of what activities you want to do. It's just up to you to describe in at least 3 sentences, right, what is it you're trying to do with your activities. And keep in mind, let it fall aligned, right, aligning with the topic and all of your data analysis. So that's 3. And then boom, goes into references. In your format, you're expected to do the assessment, right? And how often you will assess. So just 2 extra items. But here I'm hoping that this sample, right, provides a nice format or guideline for you to follow. All right, cool. The next item here is the format for your PowerPoint presentation. I always tell folks that when you're presenting a PowerPoint, always remember to engage with the audience, right? Because a lot of times you have folks who read off the PowerPoint slides. Sometimes they'll put like a whole paragraph and they're just like reading the whole paragraph and not engaging with the audience. My philosophy is it's so important to have eye contact with the audience and engage, right? See if they're getting it. You could read their body language and they're kind of getting there or not, right? But if you don't do that, sometimes you could just like how is it? You could lose them. Excuse me. You could lose them because they're like, this is boring. I'm not connected, right? I'm not sure what they're saying. But if you engage and you look at them and you look like kind of confused, maybe somebody raise a hand or shake their head, right? You can engage. Like, oh, you have a question or whatever. But anyways, for me, I recommend that throughout your PowerPoint slides, you put the main points, and it is up to you as the presenter to elaborate on it, right? So this helps for me because again, then it helps me engage with the audience, not necessarily stand there, have my back towards the audience while I'm reading the PowerPoint slides, right? So that's just my personal opinion. I know in academic culture, it's very common for folks to come out and just read off their paper. right? I'm just like, send me the email, man. I don't need to come right to your presentation. I'm just gonna read off your paper. So again, that's my opinion. I think engaging is more powerful. So I do encourage you to challenge yourself in that way. And then the way I framed this title, the challenge of highlighting your research paper in bullet points, because it is challenging, right? You wanna on the PowerPoint slides, you want to explain your points, but for me again, I placed I typed the main points in the PowerPoint slide, and then I elaborate on them as I go through the PowerPoint slide, right? So it is challenging, and that's the reason why I put the title as such, right? Of course, your name, the class, title page, etc. So the first slide is introduction to the study. You're not gonna put everything you put in your research paper. I'm gonna actually minimize, right, some of the stuff because it's just a little bit too much to cover everything. But here is what I want you to cover, right? Highlight background information on your. I'm sorry. Uh, I actually need to change this for you for higher ed, but identify. Uh, disregard the first bullet point, or go start with the second one. Identify the concern. Highlight your introduction, right? Highlight the topic concern that you're researching, and then go into your either your main question or your main questions, research question, right? If you have two or more, keep it at three at the most, right? But I prefer one question to really lead this work, and of course the purpose of the research. And the way I have modified it here, talk about which personnel in your community slash institution will benefit from your research, right? And how so. And again, you don't have to write everything, just write the main points and you will elaborate on them. So that's the introduction. Then here, the brief review of literature, just a quick overview of the most significant findings that you came across, right? That you found to be relevant. Highlight specific findings are most relevant to your research. Make sure to list authors' last names when you are referring to a particular source. It's important to refer to the author's last names, not necessarily to the title of the work. You can do both, that's fine, but you always gotta give credit to the author, right? And you don't need to go all over 10 articles. I would say like at the very least go, mention three. If you want to mention more than that, that's fine, but just keep in mind that you have between 10 or 15 minutes to present your presentation, right? Next slide is methodology. And you have that covered in your paper, but we're just going to cover 5 out of 7 items. You're going to talk about your data collection methods, right? The mixed methods research approach that you design, which is both qualitative and quantitative. The population you were looking for, right? And then the sample that you got. Talk about who was able to fill out your surveys, who you were able to interview or observe or have a participant for you, right, etc. But talk about the participants who participated in your research, right? And then explain why they were chosen, why this sample, why these particular individuals were chosen, and then explain what you would do, how you analyze the data, right? So this is going to set up the next slide, which is your results, right, and findings. I switched it to results and discussion. So findings going to be discussion for this paper. Recognize and explain at least, you can do more, but at least 3 significant patterns or focus on an analysis of 3 survey questions that you see, right, in terms of patterns and survey questions that you found to be significant in terms of the responses, right? And when I say 3, that's the minimum. If you want to do like 5 or 6, that's totally fine, but just keep in mind again that you have limited time. Frame themes from interview, observation, and elaborate on them as well. And then interpret highlighted data, anything that you want to use in terms of statistics, charts, quotes, survey results, etc. I do encourage you to be creative, right? Innovative, whichever way you want. But here's pretty much where you're gonna shine your light, right? This is what I found. This is my interpretation. And then you're gonna highlight what you think needs to be emphasized in terms of your findings, right? Or your discussion. And then here, what is this? I'm on your side, just show me how to use it. Okay, how better a teacher that weren't Township High School are committing to the use of educational technology, but he's leading into, I guess, what folks what he found out, right, in terms of his school. Here's some background information, the achievement. Hold on one second. Oh, that's because I'm going to. Wait, sorry, I got. Okay, no, this is the sample. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. All right, so this is the sample, right? I think no, here we go. I know I was missing something. I'm so sorry. All right, so results and findings, and then boom, you go into your PD workshop, which is the second last slide. And here, again, you're not required to list all 7 items. List 4 of them: 2 skills, knowledge goals for the institution/organization, 2 goals for particular leadership roles, suggestion for modification in institutional culture, and then just the 3 activities. And again, you don't need to explain it. You don't need to list the 3 sentences that you did for the paper. Here, you're just highlighting it. And more importantly, you're not expected or required to actually do the PD workshop, right, for this presentation. It's just a part of your final research presentation. And then last but not least, your thank you slide, your last slide. I encourage you to use something creative, let it be an image, a quote, or something that, is meaningful in your research process as to close it, right? You always want to, boom, have it. I like to put sun, right? I like to put some quotes, and then I'll say thank you, and I'll kind of wrap up my presentation. But that's me. If you don't do it, that's fine, right? But I do encourage you to really put something like your signature, right? In terms of your style, what's important to you, to really, I guess, a stamp of approval of who you are, right? So something like that. It adds another dimension to your work because it's part of your work, right? At least in my opinion. So, all right, now we're going to the sample. Sorry about earlier, right? So here, this is Mike Chalipsky. I had with, oh man, like maybe 10 years ago. It's not dated here, but about 10 years ago, he was in my class. Real cool cat from the suburbs, right? I don't like too many people from the suburbs, but I happen to like him. So here, this is their introduction, the K 12 format, right? The topic, boom, boom, boom. You can see it's very colorful, right? He uses a lot of images. So you're not required to do that, but I show this to you because if you want to be creative and put images, that's totally fine. Right? It becomes colorful, eye-catching. Audiences do appreciate it, right? Because it's just like, kind of cool to look at. Methodology, boom, 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 right? Teachers from the office in terms of like what background subjects they teach. And then boom, right? Results. Boom, boom. Put some of the images. He explained it, right, verbally, right, in his presentation. And then he highlighted certain questions. He didn't go over all of them, right? Question number 2, question number 5. And then he added this part, right? Results and takeaways. So if you want to add like, some components that are not listed in the format, that's totally fine. Just don't take away anything that's already in the format, right? Don't substitute. You could add to it, and if you want to do something different, just let me know ahead of time so I can confirm it. But I just want to make sure that you follow through with the particular sequence, right? So this he added, and then the PD plan, right? Goes for school, goes for teachers. He explained it, and then he went over the 3 activities. Like I mentioned before, he didn't write everything else that he wrote in the research paper. He just listed like the main points, and then he elaborated on it as he was presenting his work. For this format, they have to do a school improvement plan, right? You don't have to do that. And that's pretty much it, right? You put your thank you slide at the end of your PowerPoint presentation. So I think that's it for today. I'm not sure how many minutes that is, but I hope this is helpful. I've been running around all day. I took my baby Linda Sunday for breakfast this morning for her birthday. Me and my mom joined her for her birthday mass at church. Right, I don't go to church, but it's her birthday. I gotta go. Right, so cool. Well, I hope everybody's well. Again, I will be at the open house today. Right, crazy schedule. I know I double booked myself, but gotta do what we gotta do. And I assume that I will meet with some of you there tonight, and if not, hopefully sometime this week. And I think we're gonna be okay. But if anybody's struggling for real, please hit me up. Feel free to text me. I'll send you my number. I appreciate you having it, but I'll send it again. and we'll just touch base, right? We still have a few more weeks to get this done. So cool. God bless you, and I'll see you all soon. All right, let me stop this. Hold on. Let me stop.